All right, well, good afternoon. Appreciate you all for joining us. So as of last Friday, January 13th to be exact, Chief Noel has been on the job here for 7 months. So that's obviously been a very busy and productive time, and a lot of changes have happened here at the department. So because of that, we felt like it would be a really useful time here at the beginning of the year to kind of step back, revisit everything that's kind of happened, and talk about where we're heading as an organization into 2023. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Noel. We will have time at the end for questions. What I'll ask you to do is please project your questions, and also just raise your hand and I'll call on you if you have any question, and we'll do it in that fashion. So with that, Chief Noel.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. It's already been 7 months I've been here. It's only been a short amount of time, but in a lot of ways I feel like I've been here for a really, really long time. We've done a lot in the last 7 months. That's the point of getting here today with you all. I'd like to thank the men and women of the Knoxville Police Department who have embraced me as I've come here. They've embraced the vision that we've had, and I'd also like to thank the members of our community who have reached out to me and embraced me personally and embraced my family. It really made me feel very welcome here. Truly been a phenomenal experience. I've had a lot of fun. There's a lot more work that we need to do, but I think it's also important that we look back on the last 7 months in 2022 and really talk about the accomplishments we've been able to do as a community and a police department. When I was sworn in on June 13, 2022, we talked about the 4 focus areas: crime, community, culture, and career development, and how those focus areas were going to guide the future here. And that's what we're going to talk about today, about the things that we have done to achieve those goals. So let's talk about crime first. So crime fighting will always be our top priority, especially violent crime. We reorganized the entire department to be more effective and more efficient in responding to violent crime. We started off with 2 districts when I came here, and we reestablished the central district, which KPD used to have into effect years ago. Now we have 3 districts. And we did that so we could be more narrowly focused when responding to crime and community concerns, and to give more authority and more responsibility to our district captains to be able to solve problems at their level. It's a change in philosophy, giving that power and authority to our district captains to be able to respond nimbly to deal with those issues. We still have a long ways to go in terms to crime, but we're certainly moving in the right direction. If you looked at last week, we released our high priority crime statistics for 2022. Significantly in there, we had the reduction of murders by 15%, car burglaries down by 5%, motor vehicle theft down by 21%. These are things that the men and women of the Knoxville Police Department have worked on, and we really are proud of the results that we have achieved in 2022. That does not say that we have a long way to go, right? We absolutely have a long way to go to get where we want to be, but 15% in murders, reduction in murders, really shows that we're moving in the right direction. We've recently beefed up our Community Engagement Response Team, or CERT. We now have 12 officers and 3 supervisors that are dedicated every day to going out and reducing and preventing violent crime in our most violent areas. So that's something that we intentionally built up. And as we grow, we want to really grow that, make sure that we're doing everything we can to be more responsive to violent crime in our most violent areas. The end of last year marked the beginning of our partnership with Thomas App's Violence Reduction Center out of University of Maryland. I'm proud to say we are the first city that he publicly announced that he's going to work with. I believe he's going to be working with 5 cities across the country. Most of those are bigger cities, but Knoxville is excited to be the first city that he's going to work with, and we're confident that this is going to lead to sustainable, community-involved partnerships to reduce crime in Knoxville, specifically violent crime. And finally, we're in the process now of reimagining our CompStat process, which is our internal process that we use to focus on not only crime, but the overall management of the organization. We're going to be bringing in this year outside consultants to really assess our process and really help us enhance it from a management standpoint and from a data analytics standpoint as well. And ultimately, the goal is going to be to improve the way we share information and intelligence with inside this organization to help us identify crime trends and evaluate the effectiveness of our crime mitigation strategies. So let's talk about community. So we reorganized our department, we talked about that already, but the goal of that, the philosophy of the reorganization is to build more community partnerships. So we implemented something called community partnership officers. So we used to have officers that had citywide responsibility for specific things, and what we did was those officers have now, they're now working in a new role. That's a community partnership officer, and that role is to work within the district. So instead of having citywide responsibility, they work within those districts at the direction of the district commander, district leadership team, to solve specific problems by working with the community. This is really, we talked a lot about philosophy. This is a change for us, right? It's getting down at that lowest level in the community neighborhood. So if someone goes to a neighborhood meeting and they identify a problem, what can we do by working with the neighborhood groups, other agencies within city government to solve those problems? So we want the members of our community to know what district they live in and who to contact if they're having problems. So that's something that was kind of new when I came here. When I came from New Orleans, everyone knew who their district captain is. Well, we want here in Knoxville, we want the members of the community to know who their district captain is, who the leadership teams in that district, so they could be readily available to solve problems. You have two of our district captains here. You have Captain Nevin Long of East District, Captain Sammy Schaefer of our Central District. They're here. We want people to know who those district captains are. If you want a district captain to come to a community meeting, a neighborhood meeting, a business association meeting, give us a call and let us know. If you want me as the chief or one of the deputy chiefs to come speak in a meeting, we are here, we are available. We want to engage with the public to start that process to solve problems. So let's talk about culture. So in order for us to achieve our crime reduction goals, it's imperative that we sustain a culture and build a culture that's accountable to one another and accountable to the community. We need to create trustworthiness, and we need to strive to do the right thing in all situations and constantly seek to self-improve. That's a culture we want to build in this department. So I was proud to have the Knoxville Police Department to be the first police department in the state of Tennessee to sign on to the ABLE project, Active Bystandership for Law Enforcement. And we're going to start that training this year. And that active bystandership training is going to help us train our officers and help us build that culture of accountability within this department. We instituted a crash review board and a use of force review board, and those boards will work to help build that culture as well and help hold us accountable to make sure we're doing the right thing. I have asked the City Council, and we'll be asking the Civil Service Merit Board to approve the creation of a new position, the Deputy Chief of Professional Standards, and that position is going to help us on an everyday basis looking at policies, practices, procedures, and training all around use of force and accountability. While that's my job, the Deputy Chief's jobs, and the Captain's jobs every day to look at those things, but they also have other things they need to focus on. This will be this person's top priority to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to hold each other accountable. This person will also lead our efforts around diversity, equity, inclusion. And if approved, I would like to have someone in that position hopefully by April or by May. But again, that position has not been approved yet. We've initiated an internal climate assessment that was conducted by 21 CP Solutions. I think you all have covered that extensively, but that is something right now we're working with internal working groups now to implement the findings of that survey. And let's talk about career development, the last one of our talking points. So if we're going to talk about improving the employee experience, we've started long-term discussions on how we could develop and implement workforce training and professional development within the Knoxville Police Department. We need to provide our officers and employees with the training and the tools they need to achieve their career goals. If someone wants to move into leadership, if they want to be a better investigator or traffic officer, or even just have better overall life skills, that's what we should be doing right here in our police academy. We have, our recruit training is really, is phenomenal. It's first class. But we could do a better job with that long-term professional development training. The new public safety building that we're going to be moving into next month will have numerous additional spaces, high-quality spaces for us to conduct training. We're really excited about that move. It's really going to expand our opportunity to be able to, train our new employees and our existing employees. And it's my vision and the vision of our leadership team to make KPD again what it used to be, a regional training hub for law enforcement agencies in East Tennessee. We're really excited about starting a process to implement that. So one of the most important things that any department has to do, and certainly something that we need to do here, is recruiting. And we started a robust recruiting campaign. We're advertising digitally right now, and not only in the region, but all across the country, to bring the best and brightest recruits to our department. And the new public safety building is really going to help us expand that. Hopefully we'll be able to hold 3 academy classes this year. And that means we'll be doing overlapping academies. That means we'll have 2 academies running at the same time. And that public safety building is going to allow us to do that because we'll have more training space. So we're super happy, super excited to be doing that. And we're also reevaluating our entire hiring process from start to finish. Try to modernize it, make it more efficient. Hiring right now is very, very competitive. So what can we do to be more efficient without lowering our standards? We're looking at that right now. The team you see on our side over here is working on that right now. We're really excited to see what that's going to look like. So moving forward into 2023, really super excited about 2023. It's really going to be a good year for us. We're going to continue to seek innovative ways to enhance our recruiting efforts and focus on attracting people from here in Knoxville and recruiting people of color and more women to our organization. It's no secret that we need to do a better job of recruiting people of color and women to the Knoxville Police Department. The only way we can accomplish that is by building a process that's fair, that's expedited, but also involves the community. If we're going to hire more people of color, we need to do it from right here in Knoxville, and we need the help of the citizens of Knoxville. We're hiring right now. We have a cadet program for people 18 to 21. So if you're in that age group, we have a job for you right now if you're interested in joining our department as a cadet and seeing if entering the police academy when you're 21 is the right thing for you. So we're really excited about that. We have 22 recruits that are going to be preparing to graduate from our training academy this year. 22 recruits that are going to be graduating from our training academy in February. Let me say that one more time. We have 22 recruits that are going to be planning on graduating from our training academy in early February, and we will be starting a new class in March. And again, hopefully, we're able to run 3 classes in 2023. We're very excited to work closely with Fulton High School's criminal justice program. The new public safety complex is going to be right next door to Fulton. I've already been over to Fulton to talk to the criminal justice program. Once we get next door, I think that's going to be a great pipeline for us. And I'm really excited about not only with the partnership with Fulton, but establishing partnerships with other high schools as well here in Knoxville and Knox County to really get a strong pipeline of recruits into a Knoxville Police Department, so we could have a police department that's fully staffed, really from people from our community. We have lofty goals to reduce crime in our community, including a goal of reducing murders by 10% in 2023. I'll say that again. Our goal is to reduce murders by 10% in 2023, and we think the strategies that we've built on in 2022 and things we're going to be implementing in 2023 are really going to facilitate that happening for us. We also want to expand our efforts with visibility downtown. It's something that Captain Schaefer over the Central District has really worked on. I think they've done a great job. We're going to be deploying our cadets downtown on Market Square. So you'll see our cadets in blue uniforms walking around downtown in Market Square. And our goal is to make downtown cleaner, safer, and as inviting to visitors as possible. And we're planning on significant expansions to our data analytics capabilities that's going to help us better analyze crime trends and develop effective crime reduction strategies. That'll also include creating public dashboards to ensure data transparency throughout the organization. So that's something we're going to build on. We have to bring in outside consultants to do that. But I envision a website that will not only be much more user-friendly, but will have robust live data built in, so you'll be able to see our data real time. So that's one of our goals for this year. And we're also in the process of purchasing a new records management system, which will make our data more robust. The first component of really being able to build those public dashboards is to have data that is readily accessible and easily analyzed for us to use. So Bill getting that new RMS is going to be big for us. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish as a team so far. Really proud of the men and women standing in this room with me. They've really done, they've done a lot of things in 7 months, and I'm really excited about the challenges that we face in 2023, and we are very eager to achieve the lofty goals that we set up for this year. And with that being said, I'll be happy to answer a few questions from you guys.
Speaking about the director level position to oversee professional standards in the department, can you explain more in depth the division of that position? And the position description also says that this person may have a law degree. What would the position pay, and does that pay enough really to get an attorney with the authority and experience that you're seeking?
So the salary for the position is a director level salary, so it's negotiable. So I'm confident we're going to be able to find someone that's qualified for us to be able to do that job. And the vision for that position is to be someone that it's their job every day to be looking at policies, practices, procedures, and training, and how they intersect throughout the police department, and to make sure that we're holding one another accountable, right? So that person will be over internal affairs, so all internal investigations will route to that person. So as they're looking at complaints or potential mistakes that we make, well, sometimes we have to shift policies, we have to shift training, we have to shift procedures. Well, that person will be looking at all of that from a high level view. There also will be in the room as we are shaping our crime reduction strategy and making other decisions. So I think it's really important to have a person of that level taking a look at everything. And again, like I said earlier, while it's all of our jobs to be looking at all of those things, sometimes we get distracted doing the day-to-day operations. So this is a person that's going to be locked in on policies, practices, and procedures and training around use of force, vehicle pursuits, crashes, and other things like that. I think it's going to be a big lift for our department.
Chief, you've gone through all the changes that you've already started, talking about support for the future. A lot of these are big changes in the department. First, what are you doing to gauge the reaction and the buy-in from the rank and file officers, and what have you seen about that kind of buy-in so far?
So, great question. So that's one of the reasons. I was just watching, before I came in here, I was watching some old public comment before I even came in about the 21 CP climate assessment that we did. That was the purpose of the climate assessment, right? Is to get a baseline. Get a baseline for how people feel. When it seems like 1,000 years ago, but 7 months ago, I walked in as the brand new police chief here. First chief from outside of Knoxville, I believe, in the history of the Knoxville Police Department. So I spent a tremendous amount of time meeting with every single employee, going to roll calls, and literally meeting with every single employee and talking to every employee, getting in cars and riding with the police officers, riding shifts with them to get to know them. And as we introduce new trainings and new policy changes, going to roll calls, myself and the deputy chiefs, to explain those. I know change could be scary, and I think that the way that we have communicated has, I think, really helped people understand why we're making changes. I think that we have, one of the things that I've heard walking in as a new chief is that the leadership did not do a very effective job previously of communicating with the employees. So we have tried to really go above and beyond to effectively communicate with the employees. What I have heard from the men and women of this police department is, while they may not agree with every decision that we make, we certainly explain why we're making those decisions and what we're doing. I think they understand that. I think they appreciate that.
So kind of talking about, change, can you mention or talk about your efforts to change and improve KPD's culture, how they're going, especially in light of what we learned recently about KPD officer facing charges? Is that change happening fast enough, and have you experienced any pushback?
I'm really proud of the way the men and women of the police department have responded. I've said this numerous times, I'll say it again. I've been overwhelmingly impressed by the professionalism of the men and women of this organization. And, I think I absolutely believe we're on the right track. Culture change takes a long time. And culture change does not mean we had a bad culture here, but we need to evolve. We need to always look to improve, and that's what we're looking to do now, is to continue for this organization to improve. Change does not happen overnight. Change takes a while. Some of the changes that we're implementing are going to take years to implement, but I am absolutely, I feel really good about the path that we're going and that the progress that we're making.
It's only been 7 months, did you think you would achieve so much in just that much of time, or how's the speed going for you?
I mean, I feel really good with the pace we're going, right? I mean, when we were looking back and putting this together, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of surprised we accomplished so much in such a short period of time, right? But I'm also a very impatient person, right? And I really, some of these guys will tell you here, they probably, curse me under their breath, but, I'm very demanding, and I want us to really get going. But we want to get things done right. And those things take time, right, to get things done right. And I really feel good about the pace that we're moving. You can't do too many things at once, and I think that we've done a really good job to find that sweet spot of being able to implement the change that we need to this organization to modernize it, but also not move too quickly where I leave people behind. And, the leadership team that you see to my left has been excellent partners for me, for not only be the ones that have to make this stuff happen. I got the easy job. I come up with ideas and they have to make it happen. But they have been a really good sounding board for me about when we're moving too fast and when we're moving too slow. And there's no way that we would have accomplished the accomplishments that we've talked about today without Chief Gass, Chief Coker, Chief Powell, and the captains that we're so lucky to have here.
Looking in hindsight, it's only been 7 months. What do you think are KPD's strengths, and has anything stood out to you as a flaw or a weakness?
So our strengths are absolutely our professionalism and, the way we approach crime, right? Look at our investigators. I've been so impressed with our investigators. I'm a career investigator. I've been a, detective and supervised detectives, more than half my career. And to watch the way that they approach these criminal investigations is very impressive. Our homicide solve rate was above the national average last year, and I have no doubt that we're going to exceed that again this year. So I've been impressed with our investigative team. They do a phenomenal job, and I know under Chief Coker's leadership they're going to continue to excel. I've been impressed with the professionalism of the patrol officers. When you go to roll call, it's all business. And they go out there and they go out there every day. Each patrol officer goes out there with a specific task and a specific mission to accomplish in their geographical area. And to watch them work before that Mike Hannabuds incident happened, when that incident happened, we were right there on top of it almost simultaneously. And there's no doubt in my mind that we prevented a greater loss of life from happening. We received numerous guns, and we're able to stop all of that right from the beginning. And that's the professionalism of the men and women in this organization, and that's the foresight and the planning of this leadership team that you have. That they're every day, they're not only looking at the big picture, at the 50,000-foot view, but they're in the trenches and they're responding to things before, during, and after they occur. And I've just been so impressed with that, and it's an honor to work with them and to watch them work. I love watching them work.
Time for a couple more. Go ahead.
So as you were talking about getting more recruits in right now and working on that effort, are you already starting to see an increase right now, people really looking at Knoxville right now?
Yeah, recruiting is so competitive, right? Across the country right now, it is so competitive. Every police department is advertising, and every police department is fighting for recruits. But we have a couple things I think that are advantage. One, people want to live here, right? One of the reasons I came here, I didn't just come here for the police department. I came here because this is a place where I wanted to live, where my family wanted to live. I think we also have a first-class police department, right? I think people come recognize that. But we need to continue to push, and we need to continue to work hard to advertise. We're getting recruits coming in, but we also have a big chunk of the organization that is eligible for retirement as well. So it's not just about bringing people in to fill our open vacancies. It's about bringing people in to replace the people that leave due to retirement, or they decide that they want to, the policing is not their profession, which happens in every department, right? So we have that turnover that all agencies have to deal with. So, I think, we're really moving in the right direction. The challenge that we have is the minority recruiting, and that's where we need the help from the men and women in this community to help beef that up.
So what have you learned in your short time here so far about the crime here in Knoxville? What's kind of the biggest issue that you've seen? So,
when you look at, let's talk about violent crime. The thing that I've had to really get up to speed on is the connection between Detroit and Michigan, and the fentanyl connection, and the gang connection that really runs from Michigan all the way down to Chattanooga. It's a real deal, and so that's something that I've had to get up to speed on. And it's helpful to have a really good team here that is really on top of that. And that's probably the biggest thing I've had to get up to speed up. But we have the intelligence network that we have set up here for the police department. Our investigators and our patrol officers are really in tune to what's going on.
Last one.
I just want to talk about the drag racing incident from earlier this week. Do you and your officers see drag racing as a big problem in Knoxville, or is this an isolated incident? And why was the woman charged in the drag racing death out of jail already?
So to answer your question about is it a big problem? When I've gone around to community groups, I've heard about it. Now, we don't receive a lot of complaints about drag racing, but it is something that we've looked at in the past, and it is something, especially on Magnolia, that our traffic officers are out doing traffic enforcement on Magnolia and some of our other long highways where drag racing could potentially occur. I think this is something that this should be a wake-up call to everyone in our community, that they may decide to pull up against a car and say, you know what, we're going to race for a second. But I think this is a wake-up call to say, look, you may not think this is a big deal, but it's tremendously dangerous. And not only do you have the ability to ruin your life by getting involved in something like this, but you have the ability to take someone else's life as well. And that's what happened here, where a grandfather lost his life, and 2 kids are still in critical condition in the hospital fighting for their life as well. So this should be a wake-up call for everyone who thinks that behavior is acceptable. It is absolutely not acceptable, and if we catch you, we're going to lock you up. And it's something we're going to be out there looking for. We're not going to put up with that at all. And why the person is out of jail, I can't speak to that.
Thanks a lot, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.